All right.
In our brief 25 minutes, we're going to cover two things. First thing is you want to look at, is your mastery quiz aligned to the objective? That's the first thing. Second thing is you want to then create questions that can be asked in class, derived from the mastery quiz and objective. Two things. Okay? Now, before we start, why do you think this is important?
Being able to analyze like literally the flow of matter in the ecosystem, you know, it's like how life cycles.
Okay, not that. Why is this important?
Oh, why is this important? If your mastery quiz is aligned to objective, you'll be able to gauge whether or not they're learning the material that you're teaching them.
Mm-hmm. And then the second piece, questions.
If you create questions related to the mastery quiz or derived from the mastery quiz, you'll make sure that they're on target for learning the objective.
Exactly. So everything's unpredictable. There's no guesswork. I hate guesswork. You want to have predictability. So you have this lesson plan template here, which actually fits that flow. You have the objective. If you scroll down, I'm not showing screens.
You want it to mirror.
Yeah. Can you go back and forth, actually? We'll go back and forth. So it's fine. And then this template has a place for the assessment.
Okay.
So you can easily look at your assessment, your exit ticket here, and then go back up to your objective here and see, are they aligned? Easy. So let's look at the objective. What's the objective?
Analyze the flow and energy through trophic levels in ecosystem.
So what's the verb we're doing here? What's our verb?
Analyze
We're analyzing what?
the flow of matter and energy.
So we are analyzing, what are we analyzing? We're analyzing
The flow of
the
matter
flow of matter
and
and
energy.
energy. So we're analyzing the flow of matter through what? Through trophic levels
in the ecosystem.
in where? An ecosystem. So we have basically a verb, which is we're doing, analyzing, and then analyzing what? The context, it's flow of matter and energy, and then basically the conditions is trophic levels of an ecosystem. Basically, this is what you're teaching. So that means any exit ticket you have needs to be aligned to these three things. You need to be analyzing what? Flow of matter and energy, and in what condition? Trophic levels of ecosystem. Make sense? Now we have to figure out what does our exit ticket that we created, does it match this? So the exit ticket. Is this it?
Mhm.
Okay. So question one, what is an ecosystem? Okay? Ask yourself, does that fit what we just talked about?
The first question does.
Okay, what are you analyzing? And what the question?
With what is an ecosystem? You're talking about how the environment interacts with each other, like how the sun provides energy for plants, then plants grow, provide energy for animals, then animals die and decompose, providing energy plants all over again, like the life cycle.
So is that what the objective said though?
Analyze the flow of energy.
What does that question ask for to do?
What's an ecosystem?
What does what mean to do in this situation? What are you doing? You're doing what? You are defining.
Defining.
Is that analyzing?
No.
No. Good question, but is that going to be the question that tells you the kids get the objective right? No. So I'm not saying it's a bad question. When you look at connecting to the exit ticket, does this, or the objective, does this, what is an ecosystem, tell me and tell you that the students matched my objective based off the verb being analyzing?
Well,
No. So I'm not saying it's a bad question, but it doesn't fit the objective. I want to put a little minus here. Does that make sense?
okay.
Okay, so this is not going to give us the data we need to know exactly. This will give us data on what an ecosystem is. What is it? Either know it or not, but not about the analyze piece. Okay? Next one. What does the word say? Analyze the flow of energy through a food chain that contains 4 trophic levels. One is what's a carnivore. So, is that a good question? Was that a good statement or problem?
It's a good question, but it's specific. It's specific.
Okay. Around
The carnivore.
carnivore, right.
So it was just talking about the objective, was talking about the ecosystem as a whole, not just a particular
Okay.
entity in the ecosystem.
So this is a good question. It's very specific. It's kind of based on one condition,
Condition.
but you are getting into the what piece?
Analyzing.
Analyze. So you're getting a little bit more in depth to the objective. So I guess the answer is, as energy moves the food chain, about 100% of it is lost at each level. So 1,000 kilocalories in grass. As a result, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so getting more to the analyze piece, but again, they may only know just this part, the carnivore. We're not sure yet. So, but this is getting a lot closer to what the objective is. Last one.
List the reasons why food chains do not tend to exceed 4 links. I mean, to list, you have to analyze the food chain first,
Okay.
and you would have had to study the trophic levels. So you would have to analyze the whole entire life cycle,
Because you're analyzing what happens at each
each step.
So this is a good question. You have
Yeah,
to
that's a good.
you have to list. However, they're really saying you must analyze first. Analyze.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to.
So out of these 3 questions, what's the best one you think?
I think number 3 is the best one because with number 3, you're tackling the first 2.
Okay. Now, are these bad questions?
No, but this can be a general CFU within the lesson,
This can be done in the lesson.
and this is a higher level question that can be added on, just even as a check for understanding, but later on once you review.
This could be something you use as a maybe almost like a not extra credit, but just kind of like a little push to a higher level.
Pop quiz.
So you see what we're looking at now. This is going to give you, and then if you really list this out, list the reasons why, and maybe be more specific,
To see an exemplar answer.
exemplar answer, then you're going to get exactly now, what do they know and not know. With me so far? All right. So the questions are good. Really focus on this third one. Now. So now we have to look at, since we have a decent mastery quiz, which is okay, we want to look at now what questions will drive us to get to this. Okay, not activities, just questions. So in the lesson plan template, you go back up to key points. Okay. So are these key points written by you or by the CTO?
These are written by the CTA.
Okay.
So what I had I was building my own comments on the side.
Mm-hmm. Good,
So,
good.
So when I go back through,
These prompting me to look into this even more, because I wasn't really using this like I should have, and this can be great. I can utilize this as a great CFU when I'm moving to make sure they're hitting these points.
Right, exactly.
While
That's what you're
going
supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. This comes from the objective next tickets, which you derive questions from. So, looking at this first question, this first CFU,
Ecology is a study of how organisms interact with each other and the environment. Is that important to know?
Yes.
Very important to know, right? Very important to know. So that means you need to have some type of questions built into your lesson plan. Is this foundational or is this just some extra information?
That's foundation.
That's foundational. So that means from like jump, you need to have some specific questions that drive to understand that you know that they know this. Okay? So not once, not twice, but throughout the lesson. So you have your work
What
process
process?
ecology, do they exist? What does do they exist mean?
Like, so what are the processes of ecology? So, and do they exist? So in my mind, you can see a lot of random questions like that. Do they exist? So in our community, like, what are the processes and do they exist? Like in our neighborhood, what processes in ecology do you see when you're walking around?
Okay,
So I use this to print. I change this, but this is used to prompt me
Okay.
to ask some different
I want to
questions.
get more specific.
Specific. Yeah.
So how would you ask that question?
How would I ask that question?
Because it's a key point. It's very important. You need to know it.
So I would say, what is this? So I would ask about like tying this to the community and it's like how we interact with each other in our neighborhood.
Okay.
So I use, instead of saying ecology, I'll say in our neighborhood, instead of saying organisms, I'll say something like, up at the wall, talking about Walmart and how they interact at Walmart.
How would you, I want to get specific. How would you say this?
How would I answer this question?
How would you pose this? You've done the activity, whether the activity is not sure yet. You've done the activity, or maybe you define the word. Maybe it's just you put the word on the board, ecology, and talk about it. So then now you've talked about it. How do you then bring them back in and do a CFU? Do they know what ecology is? And not so what's ecology? You've already kind of taught it. Now they can tell you what it is.
I haven't got
Don't think too hard.
nothing too hard.
Yes.
Um,
Let me show you.
yes.
All right. So in your lesson plan, this is going to be part of your INM, correct?
Right.
All right. You're going to, I'm sure, do some introductory material. I want you to do this. Start writing down. First CFU. We're done doing so many whole group one-on-one questions, okay? On a question like this, which is so fundamental, we're going to have them do a quick write. We're going to, all right, guys, I want you to quickly write down, define ecology, okay? And describe an area in your community where, describe an ecological system in your community. Is that right? That makes sense?
This is ecosystem.
And describe
An ecosystem.
This is a quick write. How long will this take? Ecology, study organisms interact with each other in the environment. Bam. It takes you 45 seconds. Describe this. Walmart, basketball players, the school, a class, home, a house, wherever. That takes Mighty. That takes some quick write. And to describe it takes them another, 60 seconds. So this quick write should take them no longer than probably 2 minutes tops. Bam. Got it? As that's going on, what are you doing now? You're walking around the room, checking answers. Those kids who you know struggle, looking over their shoulders specifically. Checking answers. Okay, then you come back. Follow the process. You come back. You with me? Second, you've done this, see if you've done a quick write, you come back, and then you're going to have them quickly share, very quickly. 45 seconds. Share with the table. Definition. Okay? This is the process. Third, ask one person to define ecology. Okay? And ask one example of an ecosystem. How long will this process take you?
2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3 minutes tops.
Mhm.
You're looking at approximately. I'm not saying I don't want questions like, so what do you think? Why? We need specific questions.
Because those questions, those what do you think questions lead us down a rabbit hole.
Yes, rabbit hole, and they don't know the real foundation, like the key concepts. So now this will take us 2 minutes. Ask a question, define, definition, boom, boom, boom. Describe. It'll take total. This will be probably 3.5 minutes total. You hit this really solid key point, hit it hard. You now know who knows ecology. And because if they didn't know it from the first time when they wrote it down, they talked their table, then you had someone else restate it. They've heard it now 3 times in a matter of a minute. 3 minutes, make sense? Okay. So very, very important. So these are key points. Your organism in an unhealthy environment comes to an ecosystem. Okay? So that kind of goes hand in hand with this, right? Okay? Energy moves through ecosystems and food chains, passes through photosynthesizers, producers, herbivores. Is that a key point?
Mm-hmm.
Very important, right?
Right.
So looking at now we're getting into the objective piece. Keyword energy. Go back to the objective, the flow of matter and energy. We're looking at, okay, the flows. Energy moves how? Energy transfer between. Now, these are getting now to the specifics of the objective. Very, very key points. So, my question to you. Once you've done the activity, all the activity
You
yet.
can understand it. It's this right here that you're creating in the food web. Like this is it. Like this ties in this whole thing right here.
So they're making a food web.
Making the
So they're
food.
making food web, and they're going to be able to show how the energy moves through, right?
Yep.
Energy being food.
Mhm.
Okay.
Starting from here. going to
Photosynthesizers,
here.
producers, to herbivores, consumers, carnivores, okay. So, and that's basically trophic levels, correct?
Right.
Okay. I'm not sure about all this stuff.
No, that's it.
All right. So now, this key point is they need to know that energy basically moves through food chains this way. First thing is what? Photosynthesizers. Second is what? Herbivores. Just correct?
Carnivores,
Just the
Plant.
flow, herbivores, carnivores, creating the food web. So how would you make sure you understand this thing?
How would I make sure they understand this?
Mhm.
First, I'll start off with like I create my own. Well, I run through all this and make sure they understand what, reiterate photosynthesizers, what state where photosynthesize, define this, herbivores and carnivores, define what a food web is, and as I'm telling them this, I'm drawing it out on the board. But after I draw this as an example, then I do a CFU, then I roll into the activity of creating a food web, and
That
then
they do by themselves.
that they do
The
by
groups.
themselves.
Groups are individual.
This is going to be individual because this is something they can work on by themselves.
Okay.
So they'll create a food web, and then I'll make sure they're hitting all the points. I'll have a general example, and then I'll make sure they just script draw it out.
Okay.
But
So this is so when you're giving definition of what a photosynthesis is. Herbivore, they know what this is yet or no?
Most people know
Should know.
should know what an herbivore is, a carnivore.
So you're
'cause
giving them.
we've gone over carnivores.
They should know this too, right? Photosynthesize.
They
The
should
plants,
know. Mhm.
right? Plants and things. All right. So these are things they pretty much
Should.
already know, but still, these are things they need to know. Where does it begin? Plants, seeds, then
Sunlight, plants.
herbivores, carnivores. So important because this goes back to the flow. All right. So I think my question is, what questions were you asked to drive their thinking to let you know that they know this?
I don't know because I haven't scripted the questions out.
Okay. All right.
So
I'm a kid. How do you know what I know?
how do I know?
How do you know what I know?
I'm not going to give you a pre-test right now.
You need to be able to predict what I know before the class is over. So how do you know what I know right now?
How do I know what you know right now? If I didn't analyze previous data from last year.
Oh no, right now. You
Like right
taught
now?
me. You taught me. We just went over this process. You just kind of showed me the stuff. But how do you know that I know it? That I retained it in this short 10-minute span?
I don't know. That's how I
So how do
ask
you
the
know?
questions
So then, what are you going to do?
and have
How are you gonna know?
documented.
So how would you assess me in that short amount of time? Not an exit ticket, but just in the class, like in that moment, like this here. We now know how many students can define ecology, right? We know the kids who are sharp, who usually always get it.
So
We walk around the room.
in guided notes have a space where like you said, have it scripted, and then the guy that knows have sections where when it's time to write, and then you can just hit this point and then another one. So I have a section where I can just, they'll draw this, and then I can, when I call on them for the CFU, they can refer back to it.
Okay, so that's fine. Have a place in the guided notes. But what is going to be your CFU? I'm talking about. I need to see scripted. So I don't want to see. I'm going to ask them CFU. What's going to be your CFU? What's going to be your check?
For this. So just asking them how does energy move through the ecosystem in the food chain? So they have to explain to me how that's happening.
Okay. So ask it again.
How does energy move through ecosystems in food chains? Like, hold on. Draw and describe how energy moves through the ecosystem in the food chain.
So if that's your CFU, you should have been, you did that for them before, right? So if that's your CFU, then when you went over this with them in the beginning, you actually drew it and described it.
Right.
They can now replicate it. Make sense? So then, again, another CFU. Doesn't have to be strictly just a question, it needs to be specific. So, what we're going to do, first thing, so you guys know what ecology is, right? Watch my process. I'm going to ask them again. All right. Stand up if you can define ecology. You watch them, you listen, take notes. Stand up if you can define. Why am I doing this? Tell me why.
Is it an engagement piece?
And I'm going back to this. Going to lead me into this. So stand up if you can define ecology. Who's all standing? 100% standing. Bam. Okay, great. So now, give me one person sure out strongly what does ecology mean. Ecology is the study of how organisms interact with each other and the environment. Awesome job. So the next thing we're going to go is, if you all know that, you're good, thumbs up, it's quick. Now we're going to the next one. Sit down now, and I want you to describe, follow me, describe the process, what is it? No.
Draw and describe the process of how energy moves through ecosystems.
I want you to draw,
It shouldn't take that long. Boom.
then describe,
Or I can just say draw because if you draw and describe, that may take even longer.
okay? So we'll say draw. I don't want to explain this. We want to make it specific. Draw what? Draw how energy.
Energy moves through
The
ecosystem. Yeah, how it moves through. So you know that the energy is moving through the ecosystem by starting like at the sun. The sun, then then it pours down the energy into like a flower or something, and then that's when the herbivores eat it. So a cow, boom, boom. Then it comes back up to the so sun, plant photosynthesizers, omnivores, carnivores. Say, I just make it like a dog.
Okay.
So bam, that's the process.
So we're going to draw how energy moves through an ecosystem, and we can say label each component. Correct? Label each component. Okay. Why is this a strong CFU? Why?
It's strong because it's like you check for a previous understanding. You're drawing on previous knowledge, just across in both questions. You have them engaged.
Well, what does this allow for you to do, though, too, though? Because, again, CFU should give you predictable data. It's all about prediction. Good morning, Coach. It's all about prediction. Why is this strong in giving you information that you need to know?
It helps you see where they are.
See where they are. And because it's not just a one-person question or a two-person question, you are able to now walk around the room, free up, and check people's work and give them in the moment. Do that again. Double check your work. Looking good. Great. I love it. Awesome job. Right there. Good work. Okay. You check. You got classes of 15, 16 kids. That's it. You can check all those kids. Just like that. Now you have 100%. Now you know out of your 16 kids, 3 got it, 12 don't, whatever. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Predictable data.
A class should never end by you saying, I don't know what happened. If that happens, you didn't do your job. Classes should be so planned out where you know exactly where they are in that 90-minute period. Make sense?
This gives you that information, okay? And they're engaged. Good so far? All right.
Energy transfers between trophic levels, only 10% energy in a trophic level to the next level. Okay? That's a fact, right?
Right.
Okay. Very important fact? Or just a general fact?
This is general fact.
So what is the key concept in that?
Just talking about understanding the trophic levels and how they transfer.
But what is with the key, maybe one of the key things would be is the energy's lost sometimes. That if I was going to, let's say, eat a piece of steak, right, or whatever, I'm not getting all the energy, am I?
No.
I'm losing something from that. So maybe it could be that whenever energy transfers trophic level, you don't always get the full amount of energy. You know, you can maybe talk about that, and some energy is lost in the process. You know, may not be a really tight CFU, may not be something you want to focus on, but it's something maybe you could just, you may want to hit this. I'm not going to target that right now, so I want to get down to this piece right here. So the most terrestrial ecosystems have only 3 to 4 trophic levels because energy transfers between trophic levels are inefficient. Okay, meaning losing energy, correct?
Right. And you can, so with, first of all, you have to describe like what really a terrestrial
Hello?
ecosystem is.
Yes.
And you can talk about when it says,
Okay.
What I was saying was, like, a quick teach on, you know, just what is a terrestrial ecosystem, and how to, like, just define what this
What is
is.
terrestrial?
Terrestrial, like, you know, just explain this in my head. Terrestrial is like, just talking about the terrain,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Terrain is in like land.
Mhm.
So terrestrial is not. Does it involve all 3 of those photosynthesizers, herbivores, and carnivores, or is it something else? Terrestrial.
I'm sorry, you said
So
producers, herbivores, and carnivores?
I'm confused on what this means.
Right.
Trophic levels.
So the trophic level, so what it was, so this is where it loses you, but how all have only 3 to 4 trophic levels? It only has 3 to 4 trophic levels because all 4 of them will include carnivores. Some just stop at herbivores, because if herbivores eating plants eating, you know, absorbing
That's
the
all
energy,
the- okay.
that's the 3 trophic levels.
Okay, gotcha.
All 4 would be you know, these three.
So some of them don't go to
Carnivores, no.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So if you're somewhere where you're not threatened by carnivores, then.
Okay. All right.
But this can be scripted, explained. This can be. I can rewrite that and to do a little bit.
Yes, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
So
that's
you need to figure that out. Go to the vocabulary words. Okay.
So that's, I was just looking at this. So in the, with the book, it's a little different. So I've used,
One.
I haven't utilized the book as much as I should, but this, like pulling these PowerPoints out of the book, I'm gonna start using the vocabulary words, because it directly targets the exact words you need to know. And just, yeah, instead of me fishing through the book, finding and like fishing through the text, because this has all the words you need to know on this PowerPoint. And some of the key points that we use for this, they're left out.
Not there.
They're not there. And the book is also, we know the book is aligned with ELC, but this may not be. This we just focus on like stuff we know we're gonna see at the next CA or something like that,
Yep.
versus seeing it at the ELC as well.
Okay.
So,
Those words there, those words the kids don't know, that they need to know in order to get the objective. Next ticket.
based off the key points, we haven't gone over Detrivore.
Okay, is that very, very important for this? What is Detrivore?
Cap, I have no
Okay,
idea.
so we got to figure it out.
Yeah,
If it's in there, I don't
yeah,
know.
what
Again,
it is.
I'm not sure why the CTO put it in there. Is it important? Some she just thought. So we got to figure out, is that something that's important for this objective, this exit ticket? What else?
Like primary productivity, looking into that. Energy pyramid, we're gonna describe what a food web is. So food web, food chain, energy pyramid, and, cause that can be a misconception, cause they'll confuse the three.
Energy pyramid, food web. What about
Food chain.
trophic level?
Yeah.
What is trophic level? Define it.
Trophic level is the different levels used to, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, you should know that. You got your
Detrivore is a scavenger. Trophic level is the level of energy in an energy pyramid.
Level of
Describing
energy.
how energy moves from one level to the other.